Hey, welcome to Unity in the Community. The Unity in the Community show embraces the city versus diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. And if you can tell in my energy right now, as in every show, but this show in particular, is I have an old friend that was with me, and we've known each other for a number of years. I was a cable advertiser. Yeah, I was a cable advertising executive at Greater Media Cable. I'm dating myself, okay, if you guys remember that.
Mhm.
And she worked at Rotman's as an art designer.
Yep.
And joining us is Pam Taylor. Pam Taylor, welcome to Unity in the Community.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You too as well. Last time we speak, now and then, but last time we were really engaged was during the health crisis, right?
Mhm.
And of course, at that time, everybody was like trying to buy a house, and the line was out down
It
the
was
street.
crazy.
It was crazy.
That's when the multiple offers started and the frenzy and the overbidding and all of that.
Yeah, and I don't know why at that particular time why houses were so hot in the market at that time.
Because people were trapped in their houses. They couldn't go anywhere. So they were nesting. They wanted to enjoy where they were. People were working at home. So sometimes people who didn't have a home office needed a house with a home office, and things were changing.
Mhm.
And people were desperate. They needed to do something.
Yeah, it seemed that way like that. So that's what we're going to talk about. This is Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd, and joining us is Pam Taylor. She's a realtor now, a Layer Realty Partners. And Pam Taylor, and I invited her to come on because I wanted to see how we can have this discussion about making it so that home are affordable for anyone.
Isn't that the key word they're saying? Affordability.
Affordability.
None of it's affordable. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a ton of money. It's
Okay.
a ton of money to rent. It's a ton of money to buy a house. But the way I look at it is, if you're paying rent, you're never going to get anything back, and you're at the mercy of your landlord saying, "Oh, I think I'm going to sell my house. You have to go somewhere else," or you're at the mercy of the landlord saying, "I'm going to raise your rent X amount of dollars." So if you're able to save and put yourself on the track to home ownership, it makes a lot of sense.
I think a lot of people would like to own a home. I would say,
I think everybody. I don't know. I mean, maybe there are people who just don't want the responsibility and don't want to mow their lawn, and I understand that too. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's the American dream, right?
Right.
People do want to own their home.
Well, it does come with responsibility. It comes with, you got to mow
Sure.
the lawn, you got to do pest control, and then also if it's a multi-dwelling, then you have to worry about your tenants.
Absolutely.
And some people have done it already, and some people are so glad that they did it, and now they're glad that they're done with it as well.
The thing
because it comes
about
with other things too as
about
well.
being done too is, at some point you cash out. If you're in
course.
your house for a certain amount of time, you're building equity, and you can cash out and then do something else. Pay to rent somewhere that's not a big responsibility, and then travel, and then do whatever else. But you have built the nest egg, and people's wealth is basically in their homes. That's where most people hold their wealth. We're not rich people,
Not at
but
all.
if we have homes and we've been in them for a long time, hopefully our equity has grown and we've got some wealth now.
Yeah, and at the same time too is you just don't just cash out too. And I found out that way. I found that out the hard way as well.
Sure.
There's other different means and ways to cash out, but also protect yourself, because also there's a word called capital gains too as well.
Oh, absolutely. If you go from a multifamily dwelling to a single family dwelling, you will be paying. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you pay capital gains on the difference between the dwelling, the number of units. So
Mhm.
yes, you
it-
do. You should always talk to an accountant or yeah.
Well, you listen to Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd once again on Unity 979, which is Community Connection. And joining me is Pam Taylor. Pam Taylor and I worked closely together a number of years ago. I was a salesperson at Greater Media Cable, and she worked with Rotman's Furniture. If you guys are familiar with Rotman's Furniture, we were very good friends with Bernie Rotman, and deeply indebted to him, because he was an incredible person at that time.
Right.
And still
Right,
continues to be, of course.
Mhm.
But he had one of the top furniture companies in central Massachusetts, if not all of New England.
Sure.
Like that. And Pam is with Layer Realty Partners. And I wanted her to have a discussion. I want us to have this discussion when it comes to real estate, okay? Because the real estate is always a conversation, no matter what period of time is going on in your life, right?
Right.
And it can go through, it could be involved in a lot of different things. People are always looking for tenancy, people that are in tenancy, and then there's those people that own the homes as well. There's a lot of different scenarios. So we want to start from the beginning in the sense, okay? So we'll say that you're a tenant, okay? And a tenant comes with responsibility of operating that unit, because obviously, as you mentioned earlier, you have to pay the rent, okay? And then you live there, and then you go about your business. But then if there's something that goes wrong, then what happens then?
Well,
usually?
it depends. It depends on the agreement that you've laid out with the landlord.
Okay.
In some cases, the landlord may say, you're responsible for snow removal. You keep my grass cut. I'll give you a break on the rent if you do that. You're going to take care of minor plumbing problems if there's anything over X amount. It depends. You know,
Right.
everything is negotiable, right?
Right.
So it depends on what your relationship is with your landlord. But in most cases, like you said, if something goes wrong, you know, your boiler doesn't work, you have no heat, you're calling the landlord.
Right.
And if you're the landlord, you take the call at maybe 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday. That's, you
Right.
know, part of the responsibility of being a landlord.
Yeah. And then sometimes people have good landlords and there's those that are not so good.
Sure.
And sometimes you don't realize that until you move in.
Right. You wouldn't know that. And
Right.
and it's funny too, because there was a trend, and there is a trend of investors getting all the multifamily properties. You know, the investors will come in. And what happens with real estate is, you know, things in the East become more expensive. People are being pushed west. So the Boston people are coming to Worcester,
Yes.
and they're investing in some cases in the multifamily units.
Sure.
So your landlord may not even be local. He may be somebody that's, you know, an hour and a half away, and you're calling up and he's going to try and solve your particular problem in the middle of the night on, you know, a Sunday from somewhere else.
Okay, so let's dissect that for a second. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you have your landlord. Okay, that landlord could be an individual.
Yeah,
right, or that
absolutely.
landlord could be a corporation.
True.
Right, and it depends on what the benefit is. If it's like individual or corporation, usually if it's a corporation, they usually have a production team,
A management team. Sure.
team.
Yep.
And the management team handles the keys, they handle the repairs, and they handle anything that's necessary.
Yep.
Versus an individual,
Mhm.
okay, who's trying to save money by not having the management team, of course.
Yeah.
Then the sole responsibility is up on that person. So heaven forbid something happens, you call the gentleman, he's out having dinner with his family, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have an issue here at the department. The chances of that person responding a little quicker than the management company is slim to none to a certain degree. It's going to come around the convenience of that particular individual.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then you're in trouble.
You can be. Sure.
You know, in that sense. So then we're talking here in reference to, like you said, that it's very interesting that you should say that. Boston obviously is priced out like nobody's business. Okay.
Mhm.
And there's been a trend coming Central Mass for a long time, and it's here.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
here. And people who can't afford Worcester now are going further west.
Yes.
So everybody just gets pushed,
hmm
you know?
Right. And when you say west, we're talking heading towards Springfield now. All right.
Mm,
Or you,
I
would you say
don't- I
Leicester
don't- Yeah,
or
exactly. Like maybe Oxford, maybe
Oxford?
Webster, maybe
Okay.
they're, you know, maybe they're
Mhm.
just going one or two towns further west.
right? hmm
If they
Okay.
can't buy in Worcester, people do what they have to do, and then those towns grow too. And then,
course.
you know, maybe the next generation can't stay in that town, and they're going further west. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But we want to have this situation where I wanted to have this discussion, and I did say that can it be affordable? And you're saying that honestly, you'll be in the front. You're a realtor. You know
Yeah.
the trends. You study the trends and the analyzations, and you
Mhm.
talk to people, and
Yep.
you deal with corporations, and you deal with individuals, and you deal with investors as well.
Right.
And so you have an idea where, okay, what if an individual wants to step out and say, you know something, I want a piece of the American dream. Is it
Mhm.
possible?
Sure, of course it's possible. You know, anything is possible. We're smart people. We're driven. We can
Uh-huh.
put our mind to something and get it done. Yeah. And there are creative ways that people can figure out how to get things done. Sure.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Okay, when I first met you, you were working at Rodman's. Okay,
Yep.
you was an artist, a design artist for Rodman's. I was a salesperson for Greater Media Cable,
Yep.
of course, and I would come in and I would talk to Bernie Rodman in reference to placing his ads on USA Network, MTV, CNN.
Oh my God.
Remember that
Yeah.
Lifetime and so
Yeah.
forth and so on. And he would give me the business, you know, like anything else of that nature. Very good account, by the way. Once we built a relationship.
Mhm.
And we also would have the opportunity later on would have a number of celebrities come through, whether it was the
Right.
Bruins or the Celtics
Right,
or
right.
the Patriots, you know, that. And it was just interesting because I know I'm picking your brain right now. You're probably reflecting back like, wow, did that really happen?
It did happen.
It
It
Yeah,
did
like
happen.
that.
It was like a lifetime ago, but it happened.
Yeah. So tell us, what were you doing at that particular time when I would come in, talk to Bernie, and I would talk to you guys as well?
What would
And
I do as far as working, or
yeah,
where was
what
I?
going on? Yeah, just to get a little background at
Oh,
that
well,
time.
my job was to put together the weekly ad circulars
Mhm.
and the newspaper ads at the time, and any signage in the store, any print advertising I would do.
Mhm.
So you mentioned when we started, we were doing it with magic markers and tissue paper. And then,
And I would walk
now-
in, and the whole table would be colored with magic markers.
Exactly. Yeah, it
the
was
thick tips and the thin tips, and
That's
then all
right.
types of different
all
colors.
the colors.
And
Exactly.
it was all over the place, right?
It was a lot of fun. But then very soon afterward, we transitioned into computer graphics.
Yeah, I remember you got the Mac computers,
We got
and
the
I would
Macs,
walk in, everything's immediately, everything was gone from the table, and I would just see 2 desktops.
Exactly. And the funny thing was, I think the first computer that we bought was 8 gigs.
Uh-huh.
And now I like look at my phone and I'm like, I couldn't function with 8 gigs, but we did everything. I mean, we could only do one program at a time. And of course the design software was very, it was huge. You know, you'd have to shut Photoshop to open up Quark Express.
Oh,
It was pretty
Quark
funny.
Express.
Quark
Oh, yeah.
Express. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I know. I'm not really an old person.
We had a great time back then. Didn't
we
realize how
did.
good it was back then, huh?
It was fun.
And
it was a great place to
right.
work.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
the
it was-
salespeople, I still talk with them as well. They were incredible, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's all about people, right?
Yeah.
It always is.
It is. And people would come in and they would he would have his sales and stuff like that. And depending upon what floor, and he was always building that building, right? Always refurbishing that building. There's always construction in some corner of the building,
Right,
whether it's the bedroom section, whether it's the living room section, or the kitchen, or whatever the case may be. He was always improving every other week, and he was really staying up with the times, you know. And I really admired him for doing that, you know.
Yeah, it was a great place to work. It was, like I said, fun, and I enjoyed. I was there for 30 years. And
Was that 30 years there?
I was there 30 years. Yeah.
All right. So I came in there. Must have been your first 5 or 10 or
It
something.
it was definitely. It was right at the beginning. It was.
Okay.
I started in 1987.
Uh-huh.
You must. When was that? I can't.
Oh my God.
Ernie. I'm like making myself seem like
I
such
know.
an
I
old
know.
person.
Dusting the brains off. Dusting
I
the-
know.
off my brain. And I used to play ball with the
Yeah,
with
there
some
were
of
a
the
lot of
salespeople.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would go up to Rotman's. They would go up to Holy Cross,
of course.
and go up to the gym, right?
Yeah.
And we would be up there. We call it the LBA, the Lunchbox Association, right? We would be up there. We run up and down. They would change and get ready, go back down to work, stuff like that too. So, hey, joining me is Pam Taylor. We're having this great conversation, and Pam is with Layer Realty Partners.
You know what it is? It's real backwards, like real estate, and it's Layer and
Layer Realty or Layer Real Estate?
Layer Realty Partners.
Oh, Realty Partners. Okay.
Yep, but Layer, the LAER is REAL backwards.
Okay.
And the woman it's a woman-owned company, which I think is awesome.
Okay, there you go.
And she is a big independent. They have about 700 agents in New England and
Really?
in Florida. Yeah.
Uh-huh. We're going to talk about why you got involved with this particular agent, because there's a number of different agencies there in Central Mass that you could have joined. Okay.
Mhm.
And I know that when you put your mind to something, you really feel as though that, okay, I can benefit from this and they can benefit from me. But in this case, you.
It is. I'm an independent contractor, so I can work anywhere.
Sure.
And I go someplace whose values align with mine, and it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. And let's find out what that is when we come back. Okay. Once again, Layer Realty Partners.
Mhm.
Okay. Pam Taylor's joining me. I'm Ernie Floyd, and you listen to Unity in the Community on Unity 979. We're going to be right back here on Worcester's Community Connection. Hi, I'm Ernie Floyd, executive producer at Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection, wishing you and yours a happy holiday season.
Support for Unity Radio 97.9 FM is provided by United Way of Central Mass, aiming to improve the community and break the cycle of poverty, and the Woosocks Foundation, seeking to make dreams come true for families in areas of education, social justice, recreation, and conquering cancer. Unity Radio, Worcester's Community Connection.
Unity Radio, WUTY 97.9 FM, and streaming at WUTY979FM.org. We would like to thank our listeners and supporters.
Ed Proco's Mill Street Motors, locally owned, family operated. Jeff Burke Realtor, Remax Vision. And Kamasi Masonry Supply, celebrating over 70 years of supplying Worcester County.
Unity Radio, Worcester's Community Connection. Hi, I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity in the Community Show on Unity Radio 97.9. Join me and my guest as we discuss topics on embracing our diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity in the Community Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.
Hi, I'm Storm, and I'm a part of the Bruce Wells Scholars Upward Bound program. The Upward Bound program is a program that helps many promising low-income, first-generation, college-bound Worcester High School students. After joining this program, I've learned many different and important life skills while making new connections and getting real-world experiences through internships and classes. If you're interested in any of these opportunities, you can find more information at www.sevenhills.org or 617-866-1293. That's www.sevenhills.org or 617-866-1293. A brighter future begins with you.
Let's talk Worcester. Unity 97.9.
And welcome back to Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd on Unity 979. Once again, Unity in the Community embrace the city versus diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. And I don't know why I always laugh when I get around you, Pam. It's so funny because I think of fond memories when we used to work together back in the day. And that's what we're discussing too. And she's with Layer Realty Partners. And Pam Taylor is joining me on Unity in the Community. And we're talking about real estate, okay? And I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about real estate because it's the season to talk about. It's a 4-season category, basically, especially when it comes around this particular time.
I agree with that. It used to be that there was a spring market, and but it seems like
the winter and the fall would slow down and all that.
It doesn't. The fall has been, for me, a very busy time, and people need to move when they need to move. And if somebody needs a house, they're looking all the time.
Okay. So then we talked about earlier was the fact that you worked at Rotman's and I serviced Rotman's, and I was in association with him and producing his commercials. I was a sales rep, and then I'll be remiss not to mention Mike Savino, of course. He did the production, right? I'm still in contact with Mike Savino. He still assists me to this day. And so did you serve Rotman's? And did you leave before Rotman's closing, or did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So somewhere in there, you worked with Rotman's for a number of years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you said, you know something, this is the future for me doing something else.
I'll tell you the way it happened.
Okay.
So
how did it happen?
Rotman's was awesome always. And I always had a lot of flexibility because I had a young family.
Sure.
And they'd let me do, if I had to leave to go to the school play, I could do it. And they were just wonderful the whole time. So I segued into real estate because I have a cousin who's in the business, and we had gone to lunch. She said, you'd be a good real estate agent. And I looked at her and said, yes, I would. And so I decided to get a license.
What you talk about?
Right. And so I had the real estate, but I still went to Rotman's.
Sure.
And then one day I had a closing, and the closing was, the thing about real estate is you never know what's going to happen, what during the day. And so the closing was like a nightmare. And I found myself going to one property to get an area rug and delivering it to another property and doing that. It was just a nightmare.
Why were you doing that?
Because
you did anything to get the sale.
Because you have, right, exactly. I wear many, many hats. And so I didn't get to Rotman's until 4:30 that day. Okay. And I looked at Maureen, who was my beloved coworker, and she did the same job as me. And it was a deadline day. And she just, the fire spitting out of her eyes, and I don't blame her. And I said, I'm really sorry.
A lot of deadlines. You guys had a lot of deadlines.
We had deadlines, right? This was going to press. And I left her holding the bag completely. And I said to her, Maureen, I'm really, really sorry. I can't promise that this isn't going to happen again. I quit. I said, let's consider this my 2-week notice because I can't control this real estate. And the real estate is.
But you were early in the game, though.
What do you mean?
Well, when you did real estate, you just mentioned the fact that
this was like 5 years in. This is after 5 years. I did real estate in Rotman's for probably 5 years.
Oh, okay, all right. Then.
Yeah, and I, it was okay. I had the flexibility. I was able to do it. But as my real estate business grew, I had less time to devote to my job.
Yeah, and the passion was going away.
Exactly. At that point, it had been 30 years, and it wasn't fair to Maureen. So I said, I've got to go, and it was like completely unmeditated. It was like I just
no hesitation at all.
No, I couldn't I
You
couldn't
were on the
tell
train
her.
and it was moving.
Exactly. There was nothing I could do about it. I
Okay.
said, and I loved it. I loved Rotman's. I loved Maureen. I loved
Yeah.
everybody. I loved Bernie, but I just couldn't.
What did Bernie say when you finally told him? Because Bernie values
He
you.
understood.
Okay.
Bernie is wonderful. Like for referrals from me, I hear from Bernie, and he'll say so and so needs a house. Call Pam.
Oh, really? Nice.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Bernie's
Mhm.
great. But that was what had happened. I just, and that was it. My 2 weeks notice, and I was out.
And you ever look back since?
No, I
Okay.
never looked back. Thankfully, I didn't. And I'm also grateful that I wasn't there when they closed the doors, because that would have been really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you left Rotman's. Okay.
Yeah.
You furthered into the real estate.
Yeah.
How long ago did it come up to the situation where Rotman's had to close? Would you say? How many years later?
Oh, how many years? Has it been 5 years?
Was it 5 years after that? Would you say? Or so?
I've been in real estate. Maybe it's 8. Has it been 8 years? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't
Okay.
remember the timeline. I've been doing real estate for 14 years.
Mhm.
So, but
So you
it
were
can't
5
be
years
9
in with Rotman's, then you left. And
Maybe
then
I was more than that, but I don't think so. I think
he
I was gone.
closed several years after you left, though,
Yeah, several years after I left.
Yeah.
You're right.
which was really sad too. Yeah.
Completely sad. I'm still
Mhm.
sad when I drive by the building, but Holy Cross has it, so hopefully they have
Yeah,
good
they'll
plans.
do something. I
Yeah.
have some imagine. I can only imagine that they're going to probably build that to be an indoor city of some nature. They have a lot of people who come through on Parents' Weekend
Yeah.
and a number of those different events, and probably turn into a residence. Probably turn it into
It's
some
a
musical
very neat
education.
building.
Yeah, it's
It's-
interesting because it has all the different floors that flow all over the place. You
It's
know?
a series of buildings. So you would
Right.
walk from one
That's true.
building to another building to another
Mhm.
building, but it had, really high ceilings, and it had
The
the brick
carpet
walls
area
like
you
you
first
have,
walked
like
in.
this. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So then you left and you went out to the real estate, and then
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about how people. We'll talk about today now. We're going to move fast forward to today. How it's not too late for people to get involved with real estate. That's what you're saying, because
No.
some of the buildings that you were talking off air were like $200,000-$300,000 back then.
Mhm.
Now we're into $700,000, $800,000. Can you really get any more equity or any more value out of something that's so high in way the rents are so high nowadays?
I have to believe that that's
It's
true.
going to go higher.
Yeah,
Oh my
eventually.
goodness.
I mean,
Wow.
it's like the stock market, right? You're in for the long haul. You don't know how it's going to be in 2 years, but if you're in it for 20 years, you're
Yeah.
definitely going to have equity.
I don't know if I can ride by a place that I know, because I frequently look at the real estate, and
Yeah.
I like, you see the pop-ups when they show, oh, this house is available over this area, this house is available. I just like looking at seeing what's
Sure.
available, and I get nosy, and I click it, and I'll see the interior of it and all the fashions, and I ride by the house all the time. I go, oh, that's what it looks like inside.
Yep.
But back in the day, it's like 200, 300, and now it's like 6 to 7, 800.
So
It's incredible. I'm like, I can't.
yes. Okay.
Who can afford that?
So when my mother bought her house, when my parents bought their first house, it was $12,000.
Okay.
It was on Gifford Drive in Worcester, not far from Tower
Okay.
Street.
All right.
So
You
the
were in
second
diapers probably
house,
then.
$12,000. I mean,
Right.
we can't buy a car for $12,000
Not at
now,
all.
right?
Right.
So that was their first house. Then
Mhm.
they moved up in the world, and they
Mhm.
moved to Millbury, and they bought their house for
Mm.
$29,900. It was a
Mhm.
brand new raised ranch for
Uh-huh.
$29,900.
Wow.
And right, that was my
Uh-huh.
mother's house, and I
Uh-huh.
think her mortgage was like $143 a month.
Stop it.
I swear.
Okay.
And then I bought my house
Uh-huh.
for $169,000.
Right. Okay.
And now my kids are saying to me, "But you bought your house for $169,000. You're on Easy Street now." And I said, "Well, my mother bought her house for $29,000.
Oh.
So that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. If you had to buy a house for $500,000, that's the way it is right now.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So if your mom did that and around that number and you did
Mhm.
run it. So now I'm saying the same thing. When I saw it for 2 or
You're
300,
acting right.
now it's at 8. So you're saying that in a couple of years from now, depending on how the market goes, that same 8 could be $1 million.
It could be $1 million.
For the next generation.
So there was a house that I sold 2 years ago for $370, and they had, because of their circumstances changing, they had to sell their house within 2 years, and I think they got like $460.
Mhm.
So that's 2 years.
Right.
And I'm not saying that every 2-year period is like
Of
that,
course.
but
Mhm.
things are going up very fast.
I gave a scenario to someone the other day, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to buy a house pretty soon, and I'm gonna just put it off and put it off." And they've been saying that for the last couple of years. I said, "Look, this is kind of like how gas works, right?
Yeah.
Is the gas you put in your car. So, for instance, we'll say you ride by, it's $1, all right, and then a couple of weeks later, a month later, it goes up to, we'll say, $1.75, and then a couple of weeks later, it drops to $1.50. You go, "Oh wow, that's a great sale." It might drop to $1.25. it'll never go back to $1.
You're right.
All right.
You're right.
Never go back to $1. And while I go back and I see my friend again, oh, don't worry, I'm going to buy that house. And so I said, you better buy it now. It's not going to go back there. So I used the gas scenario. So then all of a sudden the gas goes up to $2, right?
Mhm.
It's up to $2, and then it drops down to 175, maybe 150, goes back to 175.
It's the same
it
as the
stays at
stock
150.
market. That's the same stock
it'll
market
never go back to
analogy.
$1.25.
Exactly.
It'll never go back to $1 ever.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so people keep saying, I'm gonna put it off and put it off. I said, it's probably not a good idea to put it off if you can.
If you can do it, go ahead and do it.
Right.
Yeah. And there are ways. And we talked earlier about how there are some programs and you could talk to a loan officer. There are some no money down programs.
Right.
There are a veteran
I've heard
can
of
get
that.
a veteran can get a no money down loan.
0%.
Yeah, 0% down.
Mhm.
The rural areas have some programs where there's no
With the
money down.
farms area,
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
There's 3% down, many 3% down
Yes.
loans.
Mhm.
And there are ways you can get this done. So if somebody's looking to get into a home, their first conversation should be with a loan officer, with a mortgage lender that,
You always hear that word, be pre-qualified, right?
you have to be pre-qualified
Pre-qualified.
because
Then you know what your range is too, right?
right. What if you think in your head that you can afford a $500,000 house and you start touring all these $500,000 houses and you find the home of your dreams
Right.
and then you find out that you can only buy a house for $425,000.
Uh-huh.
You're heartbroken
Yeah.
and you've wasted 3 months of your life looking at $500,000 houses
Yeah.
and you have set your sights here
Right.
when this is where you should be
right.
thinking.
And that happens too as well.
Sure.
Once again, you're listening to Pam Taylor. Pam Taylor's with Alea Realty Partners, and I'm Ernie Floyd. You listen to Unity in the Community, and we're talking about real estate. And when it comes to the community,
Mhm.
okay. And I want to have you come on. I want you to invoke, in some sense, some hope. So those people that are at least thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden, after you start thinking about it, then maybe put it to action. And then after that, kind of similar to what you did.
Yeah.
Some of us work at a particular company and we may not like the company. And so there's two ways you can go about it. Either find another job that's going to obviously give you more money if possible. Or number two, if you have a novice idea on the side, and there's a number of people that do, and you say, you know something, I really kind of like the yarn business because I believe in crochet and I like to build something, or pastries or something like that. My passion's there. I want to build it. So
Mhm.
there's a number of different opportunities to build your business, but we're talking about real estate in a sense. The same opportunities are there as well. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And you know what? I would invite anybody to call me. I'm happy to have a conversation with
How
anybody.
can I find you then?
They can find me. 508-414-4158. Call me anytime. If I can answer, I will. If not, leave me a message and I'll get back to you. I have email yourhometailor@gmail.com.
Mhm.
YOUR.
Is it
TAY. Yeah.
LOR?
Yeah. Your
Well,
home
I'm
Taylor.
glad that you came in to have this discussion because I know there's people out there, and as recently as recent, I would say, we've been getting phone calls and people responding to Unity in the Community. I like to thank those listeners that are out there that are listening to the show. They like the show because it's about positivity, it's about education,
Mhm.
and it's about the community. And at the same time, I want to have the people who are really I want to reach those grassroots people here in the city of Worcester that are really trying to make ends meet and trying to thrive. And sometimes they may be overlooked. In
Yeah.
a sense,
Yeah.
and which is unfortunate because they do make up the city. They make up this community,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, they get overlooked for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to forget that group, and that's why I
Yeah.
have the show called Unity in the Community.
You know what was interesting is somebody pointed out to me that all these new apartments that they're building are predominantly like 1-bedroom apartments,
Mhm.
and that promotes people who stay for a little while and then move on to something else.
Mhm.
There should be opportunities for people with families to move
That's
in,
true too,
right?
Yeah. Well, and we're going to talk about that when we come back too, because a lot of families, in some instances, not only just here locally, but they're immigrating from other different areas around, from other different parts of the country too as well. So
Right.
we have to have something for them. Once again, you listen to Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd. My guest is Pam Taylor. She's with Alea Realty Partners. We're going to come back. We're going to continue talking about real estate and how you can get involved and how you can play a role, and hopefully it'll be a good investment for your family. So once again, this is Unity in the Community on Unity 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.
Hi, I'm Oscar Kane, producer at Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection, and we'd like to wish you and yours a happy holiday season.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Graham Anderson, also known as Positively Suzanne, host of Black in Business, Thursdays at 5 p.m. on Unity Radio 97.9. Black in Business is a series of conversations with influential members of the Black business community. These entrepreneurs knows what it means to risk everything to create successful businesses and spark positive changes in the community. So join us. Again, I'm Suzanne Graham Anderson, also known as Positively Suzanne, right here on Black in Business, Thursdays at 5 p.m. on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.
Unity Radio, WUTY 97.9 FM, and streaming at WUTY979FM.org. We would like to thank our listeners and supporters.
The Summit Lounge, a private membership association. Moyna's Tavern of Worcester, a family business since 1935. And James Street Car Wash of Worcester.
Unity Radio, Worcester's Community Connection.
Activa la radio y Unity Radio 97.9 FM te invitan a escuchar el bloque latino todos los sábados de 7 de la mañana hasta la 1 de la tarde por los 97.9 FM en la ciudad de Worcester.
At KivaCenters.org, we believe every story matters and healing starts with being heard. The Kiva Centers are here to explore the paths of mental health, recovery, and wholeness with you. Visit KivaCenters.org, a statewide leader in peer-led support and recovery services, from Worcester to Western Mass. More information is available at KIVACenters.org. Kiva is lighting the way forward.
Hi, this is Raymond Lopolito, the General Manager of the Worcester Smiles Football Club, and you're listening to Unity Radio, Worcester's Community Connection.
Welcome back to Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd. The Unity in the Community show embraces the city versus diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. And joining me is Pam Taylor. Pam Taylor is with Layer Realty Partners, and she's a real estate agent, and she's independent, and she gets the chance to move around anywhere she wants to go to help any and everyone. And I invited her to come in because we've been friends for a long time. And I want to talk real estate because the fact that there's new horizons coming around the corner and people might be on the edge. And I'm about the community, and some people like where they live right now.
Mhm.
And some people may say, you know something, I need a change for myself as well as for my family. And so maybe this conversation will encourage you, maybe probably contact you, Pam.
Sure.
Pam, what's your number again?
It's 508-414-4158. Happy to talk with anybody.
Okay, just to have a discussion. Because sometimes you may have a realtor who only wants to talk to you if you're ready to buy. Right? They go say, okay, you pre-qualified, you got a letter, like you say, no, it's okay, I can't talk to you right now.
Well, I am going to tell you what I would do is refer them to somebody who could help with the loan, because I don't know enough about the loan process, but I know many, many people who are very qualified, very nice people who could guide them and point them in the right direction and give them some advice as to how to get started. And it doesn't matter
what their salary is at this particular moment, right? You can still determine it and estimate and figure out, okay, you're here, but you want to get there.
Right.
Right. And then if you want to get there, then after that, you say, okay, this is where we can get things going.
There were a lot of factors that go into determining what people's buying power, how much money.
Buying power, yes.
Yeah, what their buying power is. It could be the loan to debt ratio, their income to debt ratio.
Sure.
It could be what their credit score is. They could, a number of things play into what people.
Yeah.
When
people talk
borrow.
about debt to ratio. Explain what that is, just in case someone may not know.
So
what that means.
would mean it's a certain percentage, and a loan officer would know better than me what the percentage is of how much debt you can have to how much money you earn.
Okay.
So they want you to have money available to be able to pay your mortgage. So if you have, a $600 car payment and $300 in credit card debt a month, that's a lot of money.
Right.
So they're probably going to ask you to work that down. And but maybe you make $400,000 a year and that's not a problem.
Right.
So it's all individual. Everybody has to be their situation has to be
So,
analyzed.
so in other words, if someone's making $50,000 and then
Yep.
you divide that into 12 months, okay, that
Right.
determines whatever your income is, right?
Right.
And then after that, whatever that number may be, then you say, okay, I have the rent,
Mhm.
we'll say. All right. Then you have your personal stuff, and then you have your car. I mean, you have your car note, as they would say, whatever you're paying per
Yep.
month for your car. And then you have your extras. Then it's kind of like your cost of living of that. And you may have a credit card. You may have borrowed something. You're paying
Right.
that back. So they take all that stuff, throw it in a bowl, shake it all up, right? And it comes out. And so
Mhm.
whatever your salary is, if you're making a certain percentage to meet all that, that's great. But when it comes to buying property, there's another equation to the matter.
Sure. And that's going to determine how much debt you have is going to determine how much money you can actually buy a house for.
Right.
So if you don't have the car payment, you can obviously put more money toward your mortgage.
Sure.
So, you may want to consider that before you go out and buy a $700 truck,
Yeah, sure.
something
Mhm.
that costs an awful lot of money if you're in the market to buying a house, or you have, the goal of buying a house within a couple of years.
Right.
Don't take a 6-year car loan for $700 a month. Don't do it.
Right.
Drive a beater for a little while. You
Right.
might have to.
And some people have, and some people haven't. And
Yeah.
some people sometimes, I heard in some situation when they're in the process of buying a house or investing into something, and it told, okay, you cannot exceed this amount.
Mhm.
And then they thought they were approved, which they were. And then they pull the trigger before they sign the papers, and they end up buying that expensive item, whatever it is.
That's the biggest
'Cause-
no-no. That's the
because they come
biggest.
back and they reevaluate you again.
They check everything the day before closing. They check
Right.
they'll check your employment. They'll check whether or not you've
You change things.
Exactly. It's like, do not go buy your furniture before you close on your house. Don't
That's
do
yep. Mhm.
right.
But that might go on the credit card.
Yeah, don't open
Mm-hmm.
up another line of credit. Don't do anything. Don't do anything with your credit once you've applied for a
Right.
mortgage.
Once you sign it, once you approve it, they
Yeah.
give you the keys. Then they could do anything you want after that.
You
More or less.
probably shouldn't, but
Yeah.
but yes, you
Come on,
can.
we all do something. I'm guilty of that. Once
Yeah.
again, Pam Taylor is joining me. She's with Lawyer Realty Partners, and she's a realtor. And I'm Ernie Floyd. This is the Unity in the Community, and we have a discussion about real estate. So this is a we'll say, I don't say multitask, but this is a multi-layered discussion because of the fact that you worked at a business,
Yep.
a major corporation at the time, furniture.
Yep.
And then you decided that, something, after my 30 plus years in there, I had some other side things I wanted to do and explore.
Right.
You're 5 years into it, and you realized that it was pulling you away from your main business. And then you said, I'm going to jump ship. Okay. And you did. And you made a fortune as far as contributing to that. And that's how you make your living.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some people are in that situation. But now, where you come into where now people who are working
Mhm.
and they have one or two individuals in their household? Hopefully, there's a 2-parent income house, and sometimes there's a single parent income house.
Mhm.
And there are success stories for single parents.
Absolutely.
And there's
And
success
there are
stories for
options. Yeah.
dual income families as well as having a mother and a father. So talk about that.
Well, imagine a single parent has 1 or 2 kids. A condo is a more affordable option for somebody like that. Or
Mhm.
maybe,
Okay.
maybe. I'm not painting with a wide brush.
Well, we
but,
don't know what the salary is
right.
and debt to ratio.
But there are right. But
Right.
there are things that we can look at once you've talked about how much money you can spend, and we can look at what the options are and what towns are more affordable than other towns. Because we started our conversation by saying, Worcester may be more expensive than Oxford, let's say. And you find a great house in Oxford. There are things that you can do. There are ways to figure out how to get a place to live.
But once again, you encourage that person who they can come to you, and you can encourage them to go, yeah, we can spend that. And you encourage them to talk to a loan officer, and you have plenty of contacts for that.
Yes,
and
I
more
do.
than happy to sit down and talk with you.
Yep.
And in some instances, there's some really motivated single parents that are out there, right?
Oh, no
And
question.
they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, in a sense, and they want to control things, you
Yeah.
know? And so what happens is basically they'll say, okay, I'm in this apartment, and I have 2 people in tow, my family, my children, and I want better not only for myself, but for my kids.
Right.
So let's see where that comes in. And then if you meet with a loan officer, right, they'll tell you where you are. And then after that, you'll say, something, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to go get a part-time job and to increase that income, and I'm going to save. I'm going to make it happen. And then also give you an opportunity to share with you how far into what you have to do with the weeks, months, maybe years.
It's a great point. That's a
get where you
great
go,
point.
right?
They'll put you on a path to
Mhm.
home ownership. If you're not ready to do it today, they'll give you a plan.
Mhm.
And they might say to you, okay, well, your credit score is this, it needs to be this, and this is what you can do.
Mhm.
And, this income will allow you to buy this much house. If you increase it, you can get this much house. But yeah, you'll get a plan. That's exactly what you need to do.
All right. So you mentioned early condos. Okay. So
Yep.
give us the terminology. There's a condo, then you have a single family,
Yep.
then you have a multi-dwelling. It
Yep.
could be a 2-family, 3-family,
Sure.
4-family.
Yep.
So let's start with a condo. What is a condo, basically?
So a condo is, I don't want to say it's an apartment that you own, but it kind of is, because it may be a multi-unit building and you are part of an association that manages the expenses of your home.
Yeah, the condo association. Right?
Yeah, condo association, right. So it can be more affordable. I've seen, some of the 3-deckers were cut into condos where there'd be 3,
The 3-deckers, right?
Right.
At one time, it was all considered one unit.
Right.
Even
But
though
there
it's
are
one
some
landlord.
that have been converted into condo units.
Right,
So you may be able to find,
So that means you own the 3rd floor, the 2nd floor, or the 1st floor.
right.
Okay. And that's all your focus is that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'd pay the condo fee, which in that case is a 3-unit building.
Right.
So the association might be the 3 homeowners, and they have to pool their resources for, let's say, snow removal
Sure.
or
Pest control.
Yeah. Right.
Regular maintenance and stuff like that. So
Right.
if something happens to be in just a repair, something like that, then that's where the money
Right.
goes
A
to.
roof, something,
Right, yeah.
something major.
That's where the money goes. So
Yeah.
All right. So that's the condo. So
Yep.
then you have a single family.
Yep.
Right. When people mention single family, what does that mean?
So you live in the home by yourself, and it could be a single family attached. So
Okay.
there are some townhomes where you'll see 2,
Yes, that's right. Yes.
but it'll be considered a single family home, and you own half
Mhm.
of the house.
So that's not considered a 2-family then.
No, not if
Okay.
it's a single family attached.
So when-
That's right. You would own half the house.
Okay. So a single family
Yep.
attached,
Mhm.
and then there's a single family
Detached, yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
That means that it's a standalone house.
Standalone house. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then after that, you may have the traditional, which Worcester's known for, is the 3 families. right?
Yep. But
And
they
s-
could be duplexes. A 2-family could be a side-by-side duplex.
Yes.
Or you could have the 3-decker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And 3-deckers are attractive.
I love 3-deckers.
You like 3-deckers?
Yeah.
Because people who have large families, okay, someone stays on the 1st floor, someone stays on the 2nd floor, someone stays on the 3rd floor.
Yep.
And there's only one mortgage for all 3 of those units. So if you say if it's $1,500,
If you're the homeowner, right.
all right,
Yep.
$1,500, and so
Where do you get a $1,500
well,
mortgage?
I know. I'm going back in the day.
I guess
I'm just doing.
so.
Excuse me. I'm just doing simple math here. Okay.
Well, let's say a $3,000
Okay, you want
mortgage.
to be realistic? All right. Bring me into the present. Okay,
Yeah.
$3,000. Okay, and you have a 3-family.
Yep.
Okay, $3,000 mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you have 2. You own the first, or you own the whole thing,
Yeah.
and you rent out the 2nd and 3rd.
Right.
Okay, so you rent out the 2nd and 3rd for what?
1,800.
1,800. Okay.
Sure.
All right, and then you live rent free.
You could.
You could like that,
You
but
could.
also save your money because there's going to be some repairs and other different things. So you're
Well,
kind of like,
those are 100 years old.
yeah, you're kind of like your own
Mhm.
condo association, almost in a sense.
Yeah, you'd
saving
be
up money.
you're the association.
Yeah, like that too. So we're going to come back. We're going to continue discussing real estate right here in the state of Worcester, Central Massachusetts. You listen to Unity and Community. I'm Ernie Floyd, and joining us is Pam Taylor. She's with Leah Realty Partners, and you can afford, and it's possible. And if you want that, stay with us, and we'll give you some more information when we come back here on Unity and the Community on Unity 979, Worcester's Community Connection.
Hi, I'm Habib Lamptey, Technical Director at Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connections, wishing you and your family happy holidays.
Hi, I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity and the Community Show on Unity Radio 97.9. Join me and my guest as we discuss topics on embracing our diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity and the Community Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.
Tune into The Sustainable Life with Susan Hewlett, and together we will find our way to a healthier, healing lifestyle by listening to empowering stories of overcoming our struggles. Join me, Susan Hewlett, on The Sustainable Life every Wednesday from 5 to 6 on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection. See you soon.
Hello, I'm Pastor Sharon Henderson of Covenant St. Andrew's United Methodist Church, 24 Hamilton Street, Worcester, Mass. We welcome you to worship with us every Sunday at 10 a.m. Let's worship together and love one another. I'm Sharon Henderson, pastor of Covenant St. Andrew's United Methodist Church, 24 Hamilton Street. We welcome you to worship with us at 10 a.m. every Sunday. Let's do it together and let's make peace.
Are you ready? Hi, I'm Gary.
And I'm Steve.
And we're the host of Cannabis 101 on Unity Radio 97.9 FM.
Join us and our guests on Thursdays at 3 p.m. as we discuss the cannabis industry in Central Mass with energy, excitement, and passion.
We both take pride in providing you important information about the rapid growing cannabis industry. Support for Cannabis 101 is provided by Cannabis of Worcester on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.
This is Unity Radio 97.9 Worcester.
And welcome back to Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd. The Unity in the Community Show embraces city versus diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. And we're talking about real estate today. And Pam Taylor from Layer Realty Partners is joining me. And we're talking about how it's affordable. Don't let the numbers fool you. And I know the numbers, you can't ignore the numbers, of course.
You can't ignore
They're
the
huge.
numbers.
All right. But it's obtainable, is what you're saying.
You have to be driven. You have to have a goal. You have to want to do it. And what I tell people is you can pay rent and your money goes nowhere, or you could pay a mortgage and you're investing in yourself and in your own wealth.
Okay. And last time we had this discussion, we talked about the condo, which is the full word is condominium, you know, and then we talked about a single family, we talked about a detached.
Yep.
Then there's a 2-family, then there's a 3-family. Is there such thing? There's a such thing as a
2-family
4-family.
that's sure. There are multi units, but as we were just talking about, after I think 5 units, it becomes a commercial unit, and it's a different type of loan, and it's a different type of management. It's a bigger deal
gets
to have.
involved.
Yeah.
It really gets involved.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend getting like a 6-family to start. That would be.
They're out there in some communities, you know.
Yes, they are.
Over there, I think over there by Clark University, there's a number of them right there.
There are 6 families over there.
University
There's
Park.
6 families in Greendale. Sure.
Right. They're there.
Yep.
So the thing about it is, we want to do is encourage our audience the fact that a lot of them are living in a lot of different situations. Okay. And a number of them are dreaming, saying that I wish I can just get out of the situation, whereas I just want something better for my children. And a lot in the sense of the fact that there's a number of people who are immigrants that are coming here in America and so forth and so on, and people that are presently here. They just want something better. And so I'm here to see what we can do to encourage them to say that there is hope out there, and that's where
Make
you
a
come
plan.
in.
Make a plan. Figure out how to get it done, put it down on paper, work toward the goal. People can do what they set their minds to do.
All right. And so can they contact a realtor like yourself?
Please do.
Okay. And what's your phone number again?
508-414-4158.
And they can have this discussion to put their plan together. And I think more than ever, a lot of people are determined to say, because as I said earlier, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they want better situations for themselves and for their family. And then there's others that just say, no, something, I'm fine where I'm at. I don't want to deal with the tenancy situation.
Right.
I don't want to deal with being a homeowner. I want the flexibility. I'm only here for a short period of time, and I want to move, and I want to get out of here and go somewhere else. And that's okay too.
That's a good point that you're making. If somebody's looking to buy a home, it probably isn't in their best interest to move within the first 5 years. There are some cases where they'll build enough equity to make the cost of moving worth their while. But really, you should think that you're going to be somewhere for 5 years if you're really going to invest in the house.
Right.
It's a big emotional strain too.
Sure.
It's a big deal financially. It's a big deal emotionally.
Right.
It's a big deal.
Another factor is coming to mind too, because of the fact that whether you're a single parent, also a double income family, if the mom and the dad is there, obviously that's a different scenario versus the single parent scenario. And then at the same time, some people go further in their thoughts and they think about, something, I kind of like this neighborhood, and because I like the school system like that. And then some others may say, something, The neighborhood's okay, but I want to be somewhere else, and I want to go to a different school. I would like to send my children to a different school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in that sense, like that.
Yeah.
So that may.
There may be some communities that accept school choice too. So if you have your heart set on sending your kid to a specific school, find out if they accept school choice options, and then you can widen your search for your home.
Oh, I see. So in other words, basically, you stay in your home, in a sense, right? But you don't necessarily have to go to the neighborhood school. You can go to a school outside the neighborhood.
In some cases, you'd have to check with the particular school.
Like that too, as well.
Yeah, and they have a certain number. Like let's say school choice, they have 10 slots, so it would have to be available for you to be able to take advantage of it. But it's worth looking into.
Yeah. Do people take in consideration that the fact that they want to live in a certain area of a community versus another area of a community? And if so, why? Through your experience,
some people do. I had one person in particular who needed to walk to the synagogue, so because he didn't drive and he needed to walk to the synagogue, he had a circle of how far he could be from the synagogue. So yeah, we were focused in one particular
but that's
area.
such a narrow area because of the fact that what are the chances?
It took a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are the chances are something's going to open up?
You wait.
Right.
You wait and watch. And I have the ability to set up listing alerts for people. And as soon as houses in a certain area, like I can drill down in zip codes and drill down in certain streets, when something becomes available, it goes out in your email and you'll see it. Okay.
We talked about residents.
Yep.
Okay. And focus has been that. But then let's talk about commercial and the fact that whereas earlier we were talking about an individual, such as yourself, worked for a major corporation, and then you branched off and you said, I kind of want to get into real estate, and the real estate overtook your life, and you said, okay, I want to go this direction. You resigned, and then you're pursuing your real estate career. There's a number of people that are out there right now working for a major company, and they like to do they call it the side hustle, and they want to grow it. And then at the same time, in some instances, they either grow it out of their house, or they want to look at a building. When can you determine that you want to that it gets so big that it's too big for your house, and also you want to decide to put it into the building?
Well,
how do you make those decisions?
That's an interesting question, because you'd have to talk to your accountant and find out if you can actually afford to do what you're thinking that you can do. And the other thing about a building is it will build equity. So even if your business changes or you decide that you don't want to be in that business anymore, you now own the building, and that's an asset. So I don't think it's ever a bad idea to buy a building.
But there's people out there that feel, there's people out there that feel as though that, I just got to get this kitchen, or I just got to get this building, and I just got to get this facility, and I really believe in what I can do, because everyone tells me that my food is really good.
So I wonder what would have happened. I'm thinking of the Queen's Cups. She had a great business, but
in the Canal District.
Right.
But she was thriving, though. I think she had 2 locations. Was she in Millbury at one time?
She was in Millbury, and she closed in Millbury and
to
went
come into the Canal.
Yeah, and this is all speculative.
Sure,
speculative, and I'm not. It was a wonderful business, and I loved it.
I had a chance to meet her. Beautiful person.
Yes,
and her family.
Right. So I wonder if things would have been different if she had bought a building, because I know that the rents in the Canal District,
of course,
went very high, and she struggled with that. She was pretty transparent about what the challenges with that business were.
Right.
But I wonder if she had bought a building, and let's imagine perfect case scenario, she bought a building with a storefront and rentals upstairs. So she got money from the upstairs and had her storefront downstairs. I don't know. Would she still be in business? I have no idea.
Well, the thing about it, if you want to look at that situation, because of the fact that you're going to be prone to, we'll say, don't forget though, you might be locked into a lease for like 5-10 years. Okay. But that goes by really fast. So by the time you come to the 10th year, that expense on that particular building may go from, I'm just small numbers here, all right?
Yeah.
We'll say she was renting 2,000.
Yeah.
Right? I would have said 1,000, but you guys would have yelled at me. I said 2,000, okay? And then all of a sudden after 10 years, guess what? Due to this and due to that and due to the economy and so on. And that person wants to make money too, okay?
Has to make money.
Right. And not only just to meet that, but they want to make some money too. So they're gonna only be sympathetic for so much, okay? And then all of a sudden it's 4,000. And she's like, oh my God, you know how much more cupcakes I have to make with and pastries I have to make for that? And plus my employees and everything else that goes with it. I can't do it, especially after you have, what if all of a sudden you're hitting your stride in your 8th year of a business too? The 9th year, 10th year, and all of a sudden you get hit with this big, huge
rent increase. And then you have to find another location or scramble. Yeah, I hear you.
And that rental, so now you're going to a new location that's expanded too as well. It's not, you can't go down. It's only going to go up. So how do you cross over into something that's existing that's going to be,
find a commercial property that it allows you to do what you need to do.
Mhm.
And hopefully that brings in some income at the same time.
Right. And she really made a name for herself. I see all
She
the
was
different
great.
decorations.
I
so forth.
missed that.
Mhm.
You know, that was a nice little
And speaking of
business.
Canal District, you have the Worcester Public Market. Okay. There's
Yep.
been a number of businesses. The concept's excellent.
Yep.
It's a great idea. It's a great place for starting businesses. Some of them are still existent from when they first opened. And
Yeah.
others have changed because the health crisis hit. And just like in the beginning, it was a fascination at that moment at the time. Everybody's making money. It was a great opportunity, you know. And then all of a sudden the health crisis hit and everything went from
Nobody went anywhere.
Right.
Everybody
And it
was
dropped.
home.
And some people never recovered. And it kept struggling and struggling, waiting for the people to come back, so forth and so on. And so those scenarios that may happen too. It's unforeseen what can happen when it comes to the economy and or these acts of God, if they call it, you know, when you're running a business.
Right. Yeah, you just don't know what's
Exactly.
around the corner.
Well, Pam, I'd like to thank you for joining me.
This
Layer
was a
Realty
pleasure.
Partners.
Thank you for calling me.
Yeah, of course. And we should have continued more discussions about real estate. Okay, maybe
I'd
have
be
a real
happy
estate
to.
show here on Unity Radio because of the fact that it's always in the forefront. It's always a discussion, and there's a number of people here in the city of Worcester, Central Mass, that wishes to have ownership of something.
We could have guests who
Mhm.
could elaborate on mortgage programs, for example. We
Points,
could
percentages,
exactly.
Escrow,
Right.
you know,
Have somebody come in and talk about
insurance,
those
and-
opportunities.
yeah,
Yeah.
that too as well.
Insurance people. Yeah. We have lots of affiliates that could come in and have an interesting conversation.
Well, we should have a discussion with the parent organizations, private actions. You have a good discussion with the people and see if you can bring a show here on the station and talk about real estate. I'm pretty sure people will be inclined to listen and find out, because knowledge is power.
Yeah, I
you
would
know?
love to hear from people too. If they
Yeah.
have any questions, or, you know, if I can point them in the right direction as far as a lender goes or anything else.
How can I find you?
508-414-4158 or by email yourhometailor@gmail.com.
And how is Layer Realty Partners spelled?
LAER.
Laer.
Yeah.
Not Layer.
No,
No,
Lair.
Lair.
You're right, though. It does sound like Lair.
Yeah,
You're
I think
right.
that too. So
But think about it. So she brands, the woman who owns its name is Stacy.
Mhm.
She brands with a lion. And so she's calling it like a lair, the lair of a lion,
Mhm.
but it's also lair is real, like real estate backwards.
I believe you.
I know. I'm trying to explain it. It's like,
Being philosophical, I believe it. And it works. How long has she been in business, by the way?
I don't know how long she's been in business. My brokerage was absorbed by her.
Oh, okay, I see.
So I've been there for 2 years and it's been good.
Okay, good. That's another discussion then.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Another time about that.
Right.
Pam Taylor, thank you for joining me.
Thanks. This was fun.
All right, Layer Realty Partners, Pam Taylor. You can find her. She's right here in Central Massachusetts. I'm Ernie Floyd. You've been listening to Unity in the Community on Unity 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.